So then, we are back with more understandings from the time of the second tabernacle services, where we find the Aramaic English translation of the word. This translation comes from the original manuscripts of the prophets of the Israelic lineage. So then, we can understand the time of the end as per Yeshayahu the prophet. We find layers of understanding of the spring feast, the autumn feast, and also the returning of the cities of the Messiah laid waste for many centuries. As we read then Yeshayahu the prophet, we find then this great prophet giving us a great understanding as far as the movement of the people or the remnant that must come together again, and this place is then the land of Cush. Cush then is a place in northern Africa where then the lineage of Noah then obviously later on became the very person who was then given this very specific place in the northern area of Africa. So then Daniel the prophet gives us then many understandings as far as the relationship of then the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom and then the eastern kingdom, known as the Kingdom of the East, then China, Kingdom of the North, then the Soviet Union, and Kingdom of the South, then Africa. There are many areas of this specific prophecy where then we find a couple of lines as far as the prophets are concerned. The first then is the tabernacling lineage, and then the commercial lineage. So then, as far as the trade line, then you find very specific, in a very specific sense, then Revelation giving us this particular understanding. It was then given many times before, and then China, the Kingdom of the East, is becoming very much prominent as far as we can understand from the great newspaper, the BRICS Post. We find then China purchasing at least 65% of the third most important port of Turkey. So this truly is giving us the very specific understanding as far as the region of the Pacific becoming then the new hub for trade. So then Yeshayahu the prophet in the 23rd chapter gives us many understandings as far as these merchants and what they do. So then as we read then this specific prophecy of the 23rd chapter of Yeshayahu, then it is lined up with the 61st, where then you find a line for the trade and then the other line for the tabernacling. The tabernacling portion of it is more spiritual, and then the trade section of this prophecy relates then with China and their partners. As far as we can understand, Brazil is in a very, very precarious position. The country is bankrupt, and then they are, in fact, they are cashing the future of this country, and the representatives of Brazil, they are in Moscow, making a deal with a very specific aerial defense system, and they are purchasing many other arms, and then these obviously is giving us the unfortunate bad taste in our mouths as far as these nations expending what they do not have. Obviously, Yeshayahu the prophet is given also other layers related with tabernacling. Tabernacling, as we understand, the 11th chapter of Yeshayahu gives us then the northern kingdom of then this place where we name then, back then, many centuries ago, a place where then Mehushua, known as Moshe, then became very prominent. As far as the Torah, let's be very specific with these kinds of understandings, because there are many sections of the New Testament, in quote, because New Testament truly does not exist. There are many sections that we should talk in the future as far as what then Yehoshua explained, and then what Yohanan then explained when he was then obviously showing the Messiah was coming very shortly. When we read then Yeshayahu, we find then that these people, the remnant, they are going to be coming from the northern side of Egypt, the southern part of Egypt, many places of Syria, for instance. And these people are then gathering up for once again coming together and obviously extolling the name of the Creator Himself, and then refurbishing the cities of the Messiah laid waste, as per then Yeshayahu the 61st chapter explains. And then lined up with it you find then Yeshayahu 1:8, and then these understandings are obviously posted so then people can understand. But most important is reading from the original Hebrew, because the original Hebrew is giving us many understanding, many keys as far as we can understand on how then to decipher what's coming. And then the line of trade also in Revelation, the 8th chapter, is related with this specific line of trade. Not only this, but then we find Daniel the prophet, in fact, he was quoting Yeshayahu the prophet at some point. And then once again, once the line is then developed regarding trade, and then the other line as far as this tabernacling, then we can join these understandings, and then later on in Galah or Revelation, then we can understand what's coming on as far as these nations, mostly the kingdom of the east, north and south, coming together and then evaluating a new system, a new way of doing trade via computer, where then people, they are no longer obviously enslaved by banking system, mostly the Federal Reserve of the United States, so much involved with the old ways of doing trade because of the Second World War and its outcoming, is then given us and other nations, as far as a whole of the world, new ways of doing trade. Brazil, for instance, on the 20th of October of next month, they are going to be becoming more evident in Moscow that they want to do trade without the USD. This truly is giving this country a new ways of doing trade without jeopardizing their economy. So then next time I'm going to evaluate these further, because not only then the lineage of Yitzhak as far as tabernacling, and then the line of trade, these must be obviously hand to hand. So then as we are Galad people, then we can understand the time of the end and the final combat. So please stay tuned, much more coming up.